he finally had to get a job. And nobody wanted to hire him because he didn't speak the right language. So he started out of town walking slowly, and his feet were all sore because he had to walk so far. And he got to where there was a sign that said, Pig Farm. And he thought, well, maybe they will hire me. And so the guy said, okay, yeah, you can work here, but don't you dare eat any of that pig food, buddy, or you'll be out of work. And the prodigal means spending money foolishly. Look, he fed the pigs and he kept looking, and he was so starved and so hungry, and nobody gave him anything to eat. And you know what? He was just like Jonah in the whale's belly. He started praying. Duh! Took a long time for him to get around to that. Praying. And he thought, oh gosh, if I were only at home, I could have all I wanted to eat. Oh, but if I go home, my dad's going to say I've been stupid and foolish because I just took all that money and just threw it away in riotous living, doing stupid things that seemed like a lot of fun, but they didn't help him grow. They didn't make him a better man. They made him a pig feeder. Yeah. So, at some point in his prayer, he began to think, oh gosh, maybe if I go back home, my dad would at least hire me to work on his farm. I wonder if Dad would forgive me and let me work on his farm. And somehow the idea begins to come pretty clear. That's a good idea. It might be God talking to me. God, he's not saying, don't eat the bad stuff. Don't go party and spend all your money stupidly. Go home and see if your daddy will forgive you. So, one day, not very long after, the daddy is out in the garden and he's hoeing the vegetables and he's working very hard and he's picking tomatoes for supper and he's putting bananas on his cornflakes while he's eating breakfast. And he sees somebody coming down the road. Whoever the somebody is doesn't even have shoes on. Bare feet. And they're bleeding and they got big sores all over him. And his clothes are all raggedy and torn up. And his hair is all long and it hasn't been washed for 6 months. What would your mom say if you didn't wash your hair for 6 months? Okay, so the father looks out and he looks and he says, gosh, that looks very familiar. Whoever's coming down the road, really in bad shape, but, oh, who could that possibly... Wow, is that my son? Is that my youngest son? Oh, it is! Oh, it's my son! Oh! He runs and runs and runs and runs and grabs his son and gives him a big fat hug. And he says, oh, I'm so glad to see you, son. And the son is, oh, Dad, I'm so sorry. I've been so bad. I've done so many bad things. I don't deserve to be your son. And the father says, calls the servant and he says, go get the best clothes we have in the house and put them on my son. He's home. I thought he was dead all this time, and he's home. I'm so glad. And then he says, and to another servant he says, go get some food ready. We're going to have a feast. We're going to have a party because my son is back. Now, he had an older son who stayed on the farm the whole time. And the older son was out working in the field very, very hard. And he was sweating. Sweat was rolling down his face and down his back. He'd been working all day. And suddenly, he hears music. And dancing. And he says, well, I know it's not TV, because I didn't have TV then. What could be going on? And one of the servants goes by and he says, oh, your little brother just came home. He's been gone a long, long time, and your daddy was so glad that we're having a party. Come on up to the house and have a party. And you know what the older brother did? He said, nothing doing, that little brat. He spoiled all of Dad's money and wasted it. He's a bad boy, and I'm not going to come to any party for him. Was he being God's child, the older brother? Was he doing the right thing to say, no, I'm not going to come to the party? No. So pretty soon his daddy comes out to the field and he says, son, aren't you going to come and have the party with us? And the older son says, no, I've stayed with you all this time. I did everything right. I did everything you told me to do. And you never gave me a party. And the daddy said, well, you never asked for a party, son. If you'd have given me wanted a party, everything I have is yours. We could have had a party every Friday night. And so finally, the older son gets rid of his stubborn will. Remember stubborn will? Stubborn, no, I'm not going to come to the party. And he finally says, oh, okay, Dad, I understand. I'm glad my brother's back, because I really kind of missed him. And so he goes to the party too, and everybody's happy.